From the Blind Ability Studios, it's Wellness Wednesday with your hosts, Beth Gustin and Robin Ennis.
We can work on that negative belief that we often have about ourselves, that voice that we're hearing in our head because of past experiences, and then we can shift it and work on having that positive belief you want to have instead.
Recognizing your positive qualities can help.
But my parents are both like, can't is not a word in your vocabulary. So don't say you can't, because you can.
What is one positive that you can say about yourself?
If we're trying to do something that we don't think we can do, or we're not sure we can do, it's really common for these thoughts to keep looping. It was, I can't, I won't make it, I'm not going to succeed, whatever it is for you.
How can I be able to accomplish this task and not only show others that I can do it, but most importantly, show myself that I can do it?
Welcome back to Wellness Wednesday. I can't believe it's already October and fall is here and my favorite season, so I will not bore you with why I like fall. My name is Beth Gustin, licensed professional counselor here in Colorado, and I'm here with my co-host Robin Ennis, licensed clinical social worker, also in Colorado, and we're back.
Hey everyone. So Beth, I've been repeatedly telling people how time is going by fast, and I can't believe that 2023 is almost over with. It seems like the older I get, the faster time flies by.
I agree 100% with that.
Today's topic is self-doubt. And I'm sure a lot of us can resonate with having doubt in one way, shape, or form. We're going to dive more into that topic. And as always, if you have a story that you want to share or a comment, really feel free to reach out to us because we want to hear from you. And so my definition of self-doubt, and this is something I struggle with myself as a therapist because I am human. And so I have to really check in with myself about this. But I believe that self-doubt is having a belief that you can't do something, or that lack of confidence that you can't carry through a task. You don't believe that you have the necessary skill to be able to carry it out or to pull that particular task through.
Yep, that's how I define it as well. It's that lack of belief in your abilities, essentially, that lack of belief in yourself that you can do this. And it's interesting because I tend to follow some interesting people on YouTube who talk about visualization and really working on that self-doubt. And just if you can visualize it in all its detail, not just with your eyes, but like really imagine what it's like to live with whatever that thing achieved is, or like doing that thing that you've achieved, it can help overcome self-doubt, because what you're doing is you're essentially running a movie in your mind to help yourself try to be less negative and to help increase your belief in yourself, because it's called self-doubt for a reason. We doubt ourselves. We doubt our abilities. We doubt our confidence.
Right. And I like that movie analogy, right? And so from my standpoint, I think is that we should rewind the movie all the way back to the beginning. Okay. So where did that self-doubt particularly come from? It's a particular situation that you noticed a pattern that you're continually feeling doubt in this area. When did that start to arise, in trying to pinpoint the reasoning behind it so that you can start there and trying to tackle and debunk that particular belief? Then once you have that acknowledgement, then you can start moving forward and feeling like, okay, so this task at hand, how can I be able to validate myself more? How can I be able to keep moving forward and not pay attention to those thoughts in my head that's telling me that I can't? In a lot of instances, those thoughts will come from childhood, right? Experiences that you've had, whether it be in school or from friends or family, whatever it may be. I just really challenge you to have that level of self-awareness to try and figure out the root behind it.
As a therapist, I tackle it from a similar way that Robin does, but I think EMDR, which is something that I offer clients, is a great tool to help with this, because we can work on that negative belief that we often have about ourselves, that voice that we're hearing in our head because of past experiences, and then we can shift it and work on having that positive belief you want to have instead. And EMDR is one tool, but what Robin's kind of alluding to is more of what I would call the cognitive behavioral route of working with self-doubt and looking at those thoughts and where they come from. And I also think it's helpful to check the facts or dispute the thoughts and really kind of ask yourself, what evidence do I have this is true? Because oftentimes if we sit there with those negative thoughts for a minute and look at them, there isn't a lot of proof to back them up now that we're older.
Right. And I agree. And I love CBT. So yes, I do a lot of that in my practice. And so with self-doubt, it's recognizing the thought at hand. What is it that you're thinking? What is that belief? How does it make you feel? And how does that serve you? How does that help you carry out the given task? Or how does it not help you carry out the given task? And it's important to try and really understand that and understand how those negative thoughts, since they don't serve us and they can hinder us by causing us to feel anxious, as I like to say, flee a situation or feel stuck where we think that we're not good enough to carry out that task. So we don't even try, right? So how many times have you thought something that you wanted to do, but you stopped in your tracks? You didn't think that you could accomplish it. And so that's why it causes people to be stagnant.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think it's also working really hard to not get in this thought loop. I think it's really common for people, myself included, if we're trying to do something that we don't think we can do or we're not sure we can do, it's really common for these thoughts to keep looping. It was, I can't, I won't make it, I'm not going to succeed, whatever it is for you. And one thing always comes to mind when I was growing up, I forget how this came up in my childhood, but my parents were both like, can't is not a word in your vocabulary. So don't say you can't, because you can't. And I really appreciate them for helping me to get that belief early on. Does it always stick? No, because I'm human. But it really helped. And I tend to default back to that. Can't is not in my vocabulary.
I agree. And as you were saying that, Beth, I was nodding my head because that's the exact same phrase that my parents told my sister and I. And I do believe that that instilled in my brain to not let other people's beliefs or expectations limit me from what I know that I can accomplish. And so that has helped me out a lot, especially being in environments where being a minority, a person who is blind, and then also to being a Black female, there's been a lot of instances where I have been the only one of a particular group that I view as being a part of my identity. And so I feel like in some instances that I felt like I had to prove myself, or I felt like people had particular notions or thoughts that worked against me. And so I really had to step back and really try and hone in of can't, shouldn't be in my vocabulary. I can do it. It's trying to figure out how. How can I be able to accomplish this task and not only show others that I can do it, but most importantly, show myself that I can do it.
I agree with that. And I had a similar experience. I am a white female who's blind, so different experience, but I also had that similar kind of belief instilled in me. It's like, it's not you can't, it's how. And I did have to experience proving, it feels like proving myself more to others, but also is proving it to ourselves. Because really, the only person we have to prove anything to really is ourselves. I know this is a hard one to believe, but overall, other people's opinions really don't matter.
I agree. It is a hard one to grasp, right? Other people's opinions don't matter. And I myself have to keep reiterating that, but they really don't. We're not in other people's heads. So you really don't know what they're thinking. You can assume what they're thinking, but we really don't know. And more than likely, like I mentioned to a lot of my clients, is that when you feel like somebody is treating you badly or holding stereotypes against you, it's more so about them than it is you. It's whatever they're going through in that moment, or the lack of education that they may have in terms of communicating or interacting with people of varying identities. I believe the more that you understand and separate yourself and be the observer, the more it can be easier to navigate those circumstances and not personalize it or think that you have to be perfect at certain tasks or you have to live up to these unrealistic expectations to prove yourself to other people, because that's really not true. And like Beth said, people's opinions in the grand scheme of things, they really, really don't matter. And I think we hold a lot of weight in areas where they shouldn't be.
Having said that, I am human. And it is very difficult to 100% live by that phrase. Other people's opinions don't matter. I think that's a work in progress for all of us our whole entire life.
It really is. And I feel, and correct me, Beth, if you disagree, I think that this notion gets more easier to understand and grasp when you get older. Like different generations, different decades, I feel like are a lot more challenging and harder to grasp that other people's opinions don't matter. Like in high school, I think it's more harder to understand that peer pressure. And when you're in college, starting out your profession. And so I do think that the more life experience that we gain, I feel like it can be easier to grasp. It's not impossible when you're younger. I feel that you have to work more harder to kind of tune out that peer pressure aspect of it.
I agree. I also think culture plays a role in this. And so, depending on your cultural beliefs and the culture you grew up in, it may not be this way. Maybe you do have to think about other people's opinions. Maybe you do have to think about the family as a whole or the group as a whole, in which case this may not resonate with you. But I just wanted to add that piece out there because I know not every culture is going to believe this way.
That is very true. Yep, that's a good point. And I'm that you did pinpoint that and bring it to other people's awareness. Some ways to cope with self-doubt or to not let it hinder you to actually grow from it and keep moving forward is first, I believe, is to recognize your strengths, right? Recognize your skills. And so that can be with saying what you're grateful for about you. I am grateful that I am determined. I am grateful that I am smart. Whatever it may be, recognizing your positive qualities can help. So I have multiple clients where I would say 90% of my clients, I end the session with what is one positive that you can say about yourself? What is one strength? And it's quite funny because they know it's coming and they're like, I knew you were going to ask that. But I think that it's a good question to get us thinking about what we have to offer ourselves and what we have to offer the world, something that we tend to not really look at or recognize.
I agree with that as well. And I think another way I approach it with my clients is I'll talk about, I think it's important to have a balance in life of things that we are learning how to do and things that challenge us and get us out of our comfort zone, and a balance of things that we're good at and that we know we're good at. And making time for those things that we can be proud of what we accomplished or know that, yes, I can do this activity I enjoy and I'm good at it. I think it helps balance out the negative doubts when they come in.
I agree. And with that balance, right, you're not going to get everything on the first try. Everything is always a learning experience. And so just because something may have gone wrong the first time or may not have been quote unquote successful, that doesn't mean that it won't be successful on the next try or the next try. If you look back, Albert Einstein, it took him multiple tries. It took Michael Jordan multiple tries. And so it's really being realistic and giving yourself credit. And yeah, nobody's perfect. I just think it's important to, go back what Beth said and having that balance.
There's a book out there and I have not read it yet, and it's called Failing Up. And I think it's by Leslie Odom Jr., but please don't quote me on that. But I like the title because it reminds me that, we're not going to make it the first time or the second or the 10th or the 30th, but with every attempt that we do something that we're trying to reach a goal, move our lives forward in a positive direction. Each time we fail, we're still failing upward, in my opinion, because we're working towards that goal. We've learned what doesn't work and we won't try that again. We'll try something else. And eventually we're going to succeed.
I like that. I'll have to look that book up. I think that's a really good one. And so going off of that, what are some books that you all have to recommend? Or what are some positive YouTube or TikTok videos or podcasts that help you keep moving forward and to realize that it's okay to learn and make mistakes, but also to keep on your journey, your path?
And please share them with us. If you have a resource that worked for you, we'd love to hear about it. We're always learning. And I myself like to read book recommendations and look for new podcasts and things like that. So please share those with us if you're comfortable. And as always, please share any future topics you'd like us to cover.
Right. Yep. And as always, we thank you for tuning in and listening to us. And until next time,
take care and stay grounded.
You can send Beth and Robin a message at 612-367-6093 or by email at info@blindabilities.com. They'd love to hear from you.
When we share
what we see
through each other's eyes, we can then begin to bridge the gap
between the limited expectations and the reality of blind abilities.
And the realities of blind abilities.